do you need another podcast about leadership in your life? This is the question I asked myself earlier this year when I first started plotting Leaders with Impact. I was pulling at a thread, one that I'd picked up when I started my business Sunday Skies just over 2 years ago. And it's woven its way through my How to Take the Lead collaboration with Carrie Ann from Cat's Pyjamas. And this thread was that there was still a long way to go to improve the standards of leadership in our companies. I know you don't need me to tell you, the problems are in and out of the media, all across social media. And if you listen to my other podcasts, you'll know that we debunk many of the myths and stereotypes. What I realised is that whilst many people recognise the problems and want to change the way leadership's done, many people actually want to be a different kind of leader themselves. They're not always sure how to go about it. I'm Lee Griffith, a communications strategist, executive coach and all-round champion of leaders who shun the old school stereotypes. I'm here to help you get clear on your strategy, implement some self-leadership and connect with those you serve through your communications so that you can deliver improved organisational performance, engagement and reputation. Visit sundayskies.com to subscribe to my newsletter and get notified when new episodes are released every fortnight. Leadership's hard, it's lonely, but it can be so rewarding for you and your organisation if done well. And that's why I think we need more voices talking about the realities of leadership and challenging the way we do things. We need different role models. Let's stop celebrating the old archetypes, stop repeating the mantras of these so-called gurus, and let's show there can be a different way. That you can lead with values, integrity, great communication, vulnerability, and still be high performing. So my intention with this podcast is to prove it's possible by talking to those leaders who do things differently, by sharing practical changes you can make from experts that you're not going to find in your typical leadership development courses, and by exploring the insights I have as someone who's worked in corporate roles for almost 20 years. I was often one of the youngest female leaders in the teams I worked in, who's a self-proclaimed introvert and has learnt the lot hard way by trying to follow the outdated rules. This podcast is all about making the right impact as a leader. And for this first episode, I want to take it back to the basics of why you might not be hitting the notes that you'd hoped for when you first started in post. From the leaders I've worked with, both in my corporate career and through Sunday Skies, whilst the problems they present with are varied, ranging from operational performance issues, financial worries, low staff morale, poor customer satisfaction, falling organisational reputation, there are only 3 reasons that things are going in the wrong direction, and they all revolve around leadership. Reason 1 is strategy. And I don't mean your organisational strategy, although that obviously can be an issue too. I'm talking about your personal leadership strategy, your roadmap. It's how you provide clarity to yourself and others about where you're trying to take the organisation. It's the markers you set to show the way for the bigger picture organisational strategy. If you don't know what you're trying to achieve as a leader for your organisation, how are you expecting other people to follow you? High impact leaders are really clear on their personal vision and strategy. They know what their role is in delivering the aims of the organisation. They understand the state of the organisation and the elements of their leadership approach that will be most valuable. For example, are they a fixer that's going to come in when things are bad? Are they a turnaround person focused on short-term survival? Maybe they're the culture builder, the slow burner who's going to nurture and rebuild. These leaders are clear with themselves and their board about who they are, where they'll take the organisation and who they need around them to complement and balance their strengths and weaknesses. Reason 2 is self-leadership. I believe that you can't successfully lead others if you don't know how to lead yourself. The best leaders know what they stand for, are clear in their style and approach, have tried and tested ways to stay in touch with what's happening without working in the weeds. They get that balance between strategy and execution just right. They're clear with others in how they work. They set and stick to boundaries. They create alignment across their teams. They take care of themselves. The nub of it is they know what conditions they need to set to be high performing themselves and to enable others to be the same. And the third reason leaders often make the wrong impact is communication. It's the thing that pulls everything together for a high impact leader. It's the how you convey your strategy and self-leadership as part of the day-to-day execution of your role. It's how you demonstrate clarity in your message, knowing who you need to engage with, having a rhythm of communications and engagement in order to build trust and reliability. It's the cog that keeps everything else moving. Impactful leaders are normally outstanding communicators, and I'm not talking jazz hands or full of charisma. You'll see all styles and approaches. But a leader who does this well, first and foremost, is listening and understanding the environment, the context, and the people that they work with. They're testing what they see and they hear, and they're using that information to inform their strategy and approach. They know where they need to build and nurture relationships. They work on everyone being able to tell the story of the organisation. Strategy, self-leadership, communication. There are no other reasons that you're not making the right impact. If you don't have these 3 elements nailed as a leader, then you're going to struggle. And you see this when leaders fail. It's usually because A, they've not taken people with them to deliver their vision and strategy. B, they're chaotic in the way they manage themselves and their work, creating mistrust and disruption amongst their people. And C, it shows up through their communications or the lack of it, what they do or don't do, how it is or isn't said, whether they demonstrate empathy, listening, compassion, trust, if they show vulnerability. These 3 reasons are so interlinked that to have a weakness in one area will impact the other 2. So if you've not been having the right impact, if your metrics are going in the wrong direction, if people aren't getting behind your vision, or if your board or key external stakeholders are questioning your value, you need to troubleshoot what the real issue is. Well, that's it for the first episode. It's a really short one, but I hope it's given you an insight into some of the themes we're going to be exploring in more detail through future episodes. And I hope it's given you a chance to reflect on the type of impact you want to be having as a leader, and maybe start to think about how you fare against the 3 reasons leaders often fall down. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your app of choice, and let me know what you thought over on LinkedIn. You can find me at Lee Griffith. I'll be back with the next episode in 2 weeks, so in the meantime, remember to sign up to my newsletter at sundayskies.com to get notified of new episodes, guest appearances, and further insights on how to lead with impact.